My friend's swinger boyfriend touched me inappropriately and tried to make a move while I was drunk. Posted by you/throw-swinger friend. I'm really conflicted about this. My 30F friend, 28F, Lola, is in a relationship with a guy we'll call Carl, 38M. We all know Carl was previously married, and he and his ex-wife were swingers. Now it appears that Lola and Carl have a similar dynamic. I've never judged them for it, to each their own. Carl always seemed to treat her well and has been nothing but nice to me, so I never had an issue with it nor felt the need to even discuss it with her. But 2 weekends ago, during my wedding weekend, we were all out together and very drunk. Carl put his hands up my skirt while I was sitting down. I quickly stood up and tried to brush it off. A few minutes later, he groped my butt. I told my husband, Sam, 29M, about this. He's a pretty non-confrontational, golden retriever type guy, which I love about him. He was also pretty wasted, and at the time, he just laughed it off as us all being drunk. I decided to let it go, and we went home. Flash forward to today, my other friend, Kate, 32F, called me. She said that on Saturday, she was hanging out with Carl, Lola, and another guy, Rick, at the bars. They gave Kate Molly, and they all got drunk together. Carl insisted they go back to Lola's place. There, Carl encouraged Rick to touch Lola inappropriately, which he did. At that point, Carl started rubbing Kate's arm and coming onto her. Kate said she pretended to be sick from the substances and locked herself in a room. She was too inebriated to get home at that point. Kate also mentioned that Lola and Carl had been trying to set this up for a while, making comments like, "You have to meet Rick." She now feels like it was almost premeditated and planned, but she never expected to be looped into their dynamic, especially while she was so inebriated. Now I'm feeling a flood of emotions. If I'd continued to keep what Carl did to me the other weekend to myself, and they had taken advantage of Kate, I would never have forgiven myself. I also feel resentful toward my husband for his initial reaction and how it convinced me that Carl groping me was no big deal. I'm mad at myself for being convinced of that too. I'm all for people living their lives and leading their relationships how they want, but shouldn't it be between consenting adults? Part of me wonders if I'm overreacting, maybe they were just testing the waters. They never forced us into anything. But the bigger part of me feels like this was a major overstep. If I confront Lola about this, what should I say? I've been friends with Lola for 8 years, and she's been dating Carl for about a year. My husband has since apologized for his initial reaction and asked me what he can do to make it right. He's even said he wants to confront Carl. I told him I never expected him to do that, I just hated that he invalidated what happened to me. I said, if we ever have a daughter who was groped in a bar, would you just laugh it off and say, he was probably just drunk? I could tell that hit him hard. I'm pretty torn up about it and don't know what to do. Edit same day. Thank you for all the insight and for validating my concerns. I sent this post to Kate, and we've decided to each confront Lola separately about what happened to us. I honestly hadn't considered the possibility that Lola might have been in on this and an equal or at least willing participant, but in talking to Kate about your comments, she mentioned that she had repeatedly asked Lola what was going on when Carl was touching her, and Lola just didn't respond. I also remember the night Carl touched me. He was buying us several rounds of shots and pressuring me to take them even when I said no. At the time, it just seemed like he was a nice guy buying drinks, but now I'm looking at it in a completely different light. We're going to be honest with Lola about our concerns. I think her reaction will help me determine how, if at all, I'll proceed with our friendship. She really is a genuinely good person with a lot of family and past trauma of her own, so I worry that Carl may have pulled her into something and that she's just in over her head. At the same time, I know she's an adult and can make her own decisions. I'm hoping that Kate and I confronting her will be a wake-up call. I told Kate I'm really glad she shared what happened to her. I think she's still trying to process it all. Your comments have truly helped. Edit 1 day later. I spoke with Lola about how Carl assaulted me. I cried and tried to be as direct as possible. She seemed surprised and upset and said that although they are swingers, nothing like this had ever happened before. Obviously, I know this isn't true based on what I know happened to Kate. I also told her I was concerned about her and that I wanted her to be with someone who respects not only her friends but her as well. After our phone call, she sent me this text. I love you so much and I am so sorry. I really don't have words for how I'm feeling right now. I just feel devastated that this happened and how it's made you feel. Please know that there is absolutely nothing in the world that you should ever feel like you have to keep from me. I may not always react perfectly in the moment, but I will always respect you and your feelings no matter what. I hope you didn't think that I was making excuses for Carl at all. There is no excuse for those actions, drunk or otherwise. It will not happen again. I promise you that. I also want to thank you for looking out for me regarding the matter. That means a lot. There's nothing else I should know, right? I don't get to see Carl until Thursday, and I need to have this conversation with him in person. So I'm going to gather my thoughts and wait to address it with him until then. I'm so sorry. If you want or need to talk about this or anything, I'm here for you. I love you so much. Honestly, my feeling is that she's more upset about how his actions affected me than she is angry at his actions themselves. Now Kate is going to talk to Lola about what happened to her too. We hope it will be the wake-up call she needs. If she stays with him, we won't be seeing him, or likely her, again. Just taking it one day at a time at this point and still trying to cope with and process it all. Update 8 days later. I felt good after my conversation with Lola. She was very apologetic, seemed horrified, and validated my feelings. She talked to Carl and said he doesn't remember the incident but that he wanted to reach out to apologize. I told her I didn't want an apology from him, especially about something he doesn't even remember, and that I feel it's something he needs to reflect on personally. Lola was supportive and said she'd be there to support me, however I needed to navigate my feelings about it. However, they're still together, and I'm not sure how I feel about that. She seemed to validate the fact that he assaulted me, but she's staying with him. I hope it at least planted a seed of doubt that will grow over time. For now, I'm going to distance myself. Kate hasn't spoken to Lola yet. She's tried calling a few times, but Lola is always with Carl. She's going to have to at some point before the weekend because they were all supposed to go on a trip for Lola's birthday. Now Kate is backing out because of what happened and plans to tell Lola exactly why. Maybe that will be the final straw, I don't know. I hope so. Second update 19 months later. I still occasionally get DMs asking for updates, so I figured I'd give one. I opened up to my friend about everything. She seemed shocked and devastated and said she was horrified by his actions. But she stayed with him, so I just kept my distance. A few weeks later, she DM'd me on Instagram with some rude, sassy comments about how I'm a terrible friend who abandoned her. I told her I'd be happy to have an adult conversation with her, but I didn't deserve her talking poorly to me in my DMs out of the blue. The attached messages followed. Lola, you're right. If you're open to talking, I would like to. Lola, I've never spoken badly about you, Op. You seriously broke my heart with the last messages you sent me, telling me that you couldn't be friends with me as long as I am with him, like I did something wrong. Lola, if you want to block me, then just do it. You've already destroyed me, honestly. Me, give me a minute. I'm driving. Lola, K. Me, Lola, your boyfriend laid his hands on me. Not just once, but again after I said no, pushed him off me, and walked away. I cried to you about this and how much it affected me. You chose to continue keeping him in your life. I've really struggled to understand, maybe, for some warped reason, you just don't think it's a big deal? But to me, it is a big deal, and I never wanted to see him again. I was really hurt by your decision to stay in that relationship, but it was your decision, and I can't control that. What I can control is setting boundaries for myself, and I don't want him anywhere near my life. Which is why I said that as long as he's in your life, I can't be. Me, I never blamed you for it, although now that you've mentioned it, I could argue that staying with a guy who SA'd your friend is doing something wrong, but I never put that on you. I never attacked you or spoke down to you. In fact, I felt like I approached you with a lot of empathy despite how personally hurt I was. You're allowed to stay with him and have him in your life, and I'm allowed to have boundaries that keep him out of mine. Me, I'm also heartbroken that this affected our friendship. I think about you all the time and have cried over it a lot. I had to unfollow you because seeing your coupley, lovey pictures felt like a kick to the gut every time. Me, I felt like I kept being reminded that my friendship wasn't enough. But please don't blame me for trying to protect myself. I honestly wish nothing but the best for you. If Carl makes you happy, then I'm glad you're happy. I just don't think I fit into where your life is right now. Lola, Carl is just the least predatory person I've ever met in my life, so honestly, it's hard to believe you. That sucks. However, you are hurting, and I'm so sorry for that, as I've told you a billion times, but I don't think it was Carl, and I never will. Honestly, I can't forgive you for giving up our friendship over it. I wish you well, To summarize, she said she no longer believes me and claims she can't forgive me. We share locations, and I saw she was at his house at the time she sent this. Keep in mind, this least predatory person she's ever met also tried to take advantage of another friend of ours when she was nearly blackout. That last message from her broke my heart into a million pieces and was the final nail in the coffin. I blocked her on everything, and we haven't spoken since.